The final score: Crewe Alexandra 0, Wrexham 3, and perhaps in tribute to the fact that it was 38 years ago this month that Janet Jackson finished recording her first album, this was all about control. I tell you what, can you believe 38 years? No. And I'm sorry this is a day later than usual. I've been a bit busy, but nonetheless, oh, what a performance by Wrexham. Wrexham completely rotating the team and coming up with that performance at Gresty Road to qualify through to the next stage of the EFL trophy with a game to spare. Absolutely brilliant stuff. So Crewe and Wrexham both rotated. Like I say, Wrexham changed all 11 players in the team from the win at Crawley. Crewe changed 9 from their defeat to Salford at the weekend. Wrexham, of course, got such fabulous strength and depth that every player there was still an experienced player, including, because he's played over 50 games, Luke McNicholas in goal, making his debut and looking very impressive indeed. But more of that later. Crewe's changes meant that they had a lot of young lads on the pitch, although we all know Crewe's reputation for bringing through young talent and experience on the bench. They ultimately didn't turn to the experience because this game was out of their grasp, really, I would argue, fairly quickly. Indeed, in the 5th minute, Wrexham were ahead. It was a corner which was cleared, and then great work by Jordan Davis to retrieve the ball on the right. He could have worked it back out to the flank, but instead he pivoted, dinked a lovely ball to the far post. Tunnicliffe got up, won his header, planted his header across goal, not necessarily towards goal, and it hit Billington and went into the net. A clear own goal, let's be honest. It definitely wasn't on target. Yes, Billington has been Tunnicliffe's been credited with it, and I suspect that'll be the way it stays. So, congratulations, Jordan. 2nd goal for Wrexham, apparently. And Wrexham were in complete control. McNicholas was called into action 6 minutes later. White, on loan from Newcastle, and looking very constructive, hitting a 25-yarder, which was heading into the bottom right corner. But McNicholas was down quickly to deny that. And 2 minutes after that, Wrexham had 2 up. And the game was kind of over, if I'm honest with you, considering the amount of control Wrexham had over it. This was a fine goal. McNicholas knocking it long, Dalby winning a good header, and then Bickerstaff, wonderful stuff, pinning the centre-back, holding it up. He knew that Davis was coming past him, making a run into the box. He knew he had to play the ball exactly the right moments to get it right, and although it was bouncing awkwardly, he just helped it on nice and softly. He knew he couldn't properly control the pass, but he knew what he had to do. And he fed it in front of Davis at an awkward height, but with not much pace on it, so that Davis could tame it. And Davis took it in his midriff, ran forwards, made a lovely run into the area through the middle by just shifting from foot to foot. The defenders twisting and turning, weren't sure what he was going to do. And when he then suddenly lashed it in with his left foot from 15 yards, the keeper couldn't read it either. And Wrexham had a 2-0 lead, and it was a very comfortable 2-0 lead. After this, the game settled into a pattern which was absolutely acceptable to Wrexham. We let Crewe have the ball. We did our usual thing of a decent mid-block. We weren't really interested in hassling their centre-backs of Crewe when they were in their own half. We just let them come to the halfway line and then challenge them to pass their way through a 25-yard strip where the Wrexham players were really disciplined, kept their shape, kept their positions, and made it incredibly difficult for constructive football to be played. And to the credit of the Crewe youngsters, they moved the ball around well. They were good to watch. But they just weren't really getting anywhere. There was lots of passing, lots of movement, lots of hard work put in by them. But they just weren't going to pierce Wrexham's defence. In fact, Wrexham should have got more, really. 33rd minute, Young whipping in a free kick, which dropped at the far post perfectly for Crewe. He hit the volley from 6 yards out at the far post, got good power on it, but didn't get the right direction, and Booth, the keeper, was able to make a really good save to deny him. But Crewe was really frustrated. You could see that he hadn't actually hit the target. Then, 5 minutes of the half left again, Bickerstaff doing well to help it on. because when Dolby helping it on, Bickerstaff picking it up and going on a great run, driving it to the edge of the area where he hit a shot, which had to be saved by Booth to his left. Last minute, there was another bit of action for McNicholas. If McNicholas hadn't been such a convincing figure, I suppose Crewe's shots from around the edge of the area could have held more threat, but McNicholas held them beautifully. On this occasion, it was a Juice who made a good run, pulled it back again to White, 20 yards out. He held the ball up really well, looking for the option, and then, similarly in a way to Davis, hit a bit of a snapshot with not much backlift, so there wasn't much warning, and it came through a crowd as well. Good hands, so from McNicholas, who held it, made it look like a simple save. It was close to him, but he must have seen it very late. And if he just parried it away, I would have understood him totally, but he held it nicely. Very promising. Second half, exactly the same pattern. Crewe with all the ball, knocking on the door, Wrexham keeping tight, and then Dolby and Bickerstaff causing all sorts of problems at the pitch and hitting them on the break. Not just those two either. McAlinden was more progressive on his flank, and Hosanna, who was throughout the game, was bursting forwards with good effect. 56 minutes, McAlinden did have was probably his first proper foray into Crewe's territory. Broke down the wing, pulled the ball into the 6-yard box, a good cross, and Bickerstaff made a great run to attack it at the near post. An important block by Luke Offord, the Crewe skipper, to stop Bickerstaff from driving in a third from close range. Halfway through the half, another opportunity. Superb pass by Young, picking out Davis and a crowd around the edge of the area. Magnificent technique by Davis to receive it high with his right foot, pivot, and as it was dropping, lash a left-footed shot, which was only denied by a brilliant tip-over by Booth. It was just wonderful all-round football. The pass from Young, incredible speed and use of both feet by Davis, and a cracking save. But Wrexham continuing. Young drove another shot in from 25 yards, typical pile driver just wide of the left post, before in the 72nd minute came the third goal. Penalty. Bickerstaff played through on goal, fouled in the box by Offord. I don't think there was any question that it was a penalty. It was another great piece of play by Bickerstaff carrying the ball forwards. There is, for me, a question over whether the referee should have brought out a red card, which he did for Offord. I think Offord is incredibly unfortunate here. We all know the triple jeopardy rule about, not giving a red card in the box unless there's no attempt to make a challenge. I think, personally, Offord did make a challenge, or tried to. He fouled Bickerstaff, no question he fouled him. For me, though, it was an attempt to play the ball. I don't think it was terribly fair that he got a red. Not that Crewe will be too bothered, of course, because disciplinary issues, cards, are kept in the EFL trophy, so he won't be suspended for a league match, and they are now out, so he's suspended for a meaningless game. So I don't think he'd be that bothered, to be honest. Anyway, Luke Young stepped up and drilled it into the bottom left corner, second goal of the season. And Wrexham continued to push on. Bickerstaff tackling Williams in the box, set up another shot on goal. And yeah, it was pretty comfortable. In added time, Rowe lashed in a shot from the right-hand side from the edge of the area. Terrific hands by McNicholas. It rose and was really well struck. The sort of shot that burst through your hands, but McNicholas got his hands up really quickly above his head and clung on brilliantly. So a comfortable win. Should also mention 2 substitutions made late on. Aaron James came on for Jordan Davis and filled in for the last 5 in the middle of midfield. And Harry Ashfield came on to make his debut as well. He's been prolific at youth level. He's doing well this year. And he came on for Sam Dolby. And good to see a new Wrexham player in the fold. Performances going through the side. Well, like I say, McNicholas, I don't need to say much more. Very tidy, very impressive. I have no qualms about him being involved in the first team after seeing that. It was very, very good. The 3 central defenders, Will Boyle came back in on the left-hand side and looked very solid. On the right-hand side, likewise, Tunnicliffe, important for him to get 90 minutes under his belt, and he was his usual reliable self. Max Cleworth, again, really was impressive in the middle of the defensive 3. Won an awful lot of headers and read the game well, made some good interceptions. It was another good performance by Max. We've only let 1 goal in while Max is on the pitch this season, interestingly. Wing backs. Well, like I say, McAlinden, first half was a bit more conservative. Second half came forwards a bit more. After that early cross by him, he tended to carry the ball to Rowe, force him backwards, and then pass the ball backwards. But near the end, he started to become emboldened and started using his pace and got another great cross in to get on the end off. Lively stuff from McAlinden. And he did well with some of the challenges too. So I think he should be very happy with his performance. On the right was Bryce Hosanna, who, of course, is not registered for the league games. Very, very impressive. He really was full of energy, used his pace to good effect to drive forwards as well. Solid defensively. This was a really good performance by Hosanna. Phil Parkinson said he wanted unregistered players to, put their hand up and show that they're worthy of reconsideration in January. I think he did, to be honest. It was a good performance. In the centre of midfield, well, the central of the three was Andy Cannon, straight after that red card he picked up at Crawley, and I think he can be very pleased with his performance. In fact, I'd even go so far to say he needed it. His season hasn't quite got going properly, and I was really impressed with the way at the very start he was really looking to impose himself on the game. Of course, he's not a big stopper of a defensive midfielder, but he did really well stepping in, making himself available, keeping the ball moving quickly, making good interceptions. And I thought it was a very good performance by Cannon, who was progressive and looked to use the ball intelligently, but also looked to protect the ball. That was really good, I thought. Luke Young was Luke Young. He played on the right-hand side of the midfield three, put in terrific endeavour, some lovely passes, a couple of good shots, got his penalty. And on the left-hand side of midfield, Jordan Davis was man of the match. And I don't say that lightly because there were a few good performances, but Davis was superb. He's been looking really good all season. A little injury has sort of hampered him a bit, but he made such an impact on the bench, off the bench, in such a short amount of time at Crawley, and he doubled down on it this time, given a start at last. He was excellent, scored a fine goal, provided a fine assist. Also could have scored a goal this season at the other end were it not for the goalkeeper's superb reflexes, and just in general was involved all the time and solid and disciplined when he didn't have the ball. Great stuff from him. There were more good performances though up front. Dalby worked hard. He tended to be playing the supporting role where Bickerstaff caused problems, but he did that very well. He won a lot of his headers. And then Bickerstaff, they were scared of him. I mean, Crewe's centre-backs were the two players that hadn't been dropped arrested, should I say, from last Saturday. They were the two senior players, and Bickerstaff gave them a nightmare. Offord and Williams did not enjoy playing at centre-back. Bickerstaff snapping at them all the time, running at them all the time, getting shots off. Terrific performance by Bickerstaff. But not the only one. Really pleasing to see Wrexham's nominal second 11 come out and perform like that. It was good stuff. So Wrexham can be very, very happy with that. We'll have a meaningless game against Port Vale now, and then we'll be able to go into the draw for the next round, knowing that our squad depth is exactly as impressive as we thought it was. So good stuff, that. With the final score of Crewe Alexandra 0, Wrexham 3, I'm Mark Griffiths from Wrexham AFC.